What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So Gotham Knights has been out for a few weeks, and I think there are very valuable lessons that have been learned so far. I think this game is a really good game. I know a lot of people have their different opinions. Some people thought the game was not up to their own expectations, but one thing about this game, and I think the biggest blessing about this game, was we had 2 years to dissect almost every single thing about this game. It was one of those games that we got to see over and over again. We got to assess over and over again. And by the time the game came out, it was exactly the game that we thought we were getting for the most part. I think you can probably say somewhere around 97% of everything you found out before the game came out was exactly that, including the whole 30 FPS fiasco, whatever it is. I've already mentioned that for the most part, that 30 FPS thing was more for sensationalism because already we got that news before the so-called leaker leaked whatever they said they leaked. And so we pretty much got the game that we were expecting. Gotham Knights was the RPG game that the developers of Warner Bros. Games Montreal decided to make. But now that the game is out, what lessons could be learned from this project? Number one, I think whenever you're going to make a new game in a universe that is so popular, you must do a lot to make the game very distinctive. I strongly believe that this game should probably not have featured Batman in any regard. They should not have even said the name of the character by any means or any stretch. Because one thing that has really affected this game is gamer perception. A lot of people might say the game has a lot of issues. And even though they'll tell you that the issues that they have are probably not Arkham related, when you start digging deep, Arkham somehow shows up. Not saying it's bad to compare the game to Arkham, but it is kind of weird to compare a game that has tried to make itself distinctive from Arkham to Arkham. But deep down inside, a lot of players have a lot of affection, a lot of affinity towards the Arkham games. So I can see and I can understand how a lot of their perceptions would have somewhat, been, I would say, the base metric to be able to, look at Gotham Knights. It takes a lot of kind of dissociating yourself from Arkham to be able to appreciate Gotham Knights for what it is. And that's just the reality. But it took 2 years for most of us to be able to do that. I looked at all of the, prevailing circumstances. I looked at the fact that Rocksteady's Stephen Hill said that they were done with Batman. Even seeing that after Gotham Knights came out, we got the announcement that Stephen Hill and Jamie Walker are leaving the studio. It already signals that we might not be getting anything from that universe. So I think a lot of people are blaming Warner Bros. Games Montreal for a game that Rocksteady did not want to make, which is weird. I saw somebody say something on Twitter and they said, they said that Gotham Knights was going to be somewhat tied to Arkham, but, not necessarily the same. I said, they never said that. They said their game is not going to be in the Arkhamverse. It's different from Arkham. Now, they did throw some tropes out, like Bruce dying in an explosion that seems similar to Arkham Knight. And I think that probably maybe have hurt them in a little bit because I mentioned this stuff a while ago. A lot of people said, yes, but they've explained this. I knew that, but I could see that those similarities and those close tropes probably would confuse a lot of people. So maybe they should have made a Batman game, or maybe just desist from even mentioning the character at all. But this is a big lesson learned. Except they want to go ahead and for their second game, make a game that doesn't even have anything to do with the universe that's been explored, then I think this would probably be to their advantage. So that big lesson, I think, is more than, in my opinion, necessary to shape and actually make their other game to get a better reception. The second thing, in my opinion, is to ensure that they prioritize single-player games over having to do co-op or any multiplayer aspects. Superhero games seem to be better received whenever they're structured in a single-player, paradigm. You think about a lot of the superhero games that have gotten the best critical acclaim, they've all been superhero games. Even if they didn't get the best out of sales, like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's still a superhero game, and it has a lot of critical acclaim. And so I think the market is never going to be in a place where it is happy about a superhero game that has any element of multiplayer in it, be it co-op or be it, straight up whatever it is. I think the DC Universe Online, that was a fluke, or that was something that appealed to a certain select, player base in terms of an MMO or whatever it is. But I don't think after Avengers, anybody can come out successfully trying to do something like that. Even right now, Marvel's Midnight Suns does have a good reception compared to a lot of these other games. Think about it. Like, people already know that Firaxis is a studio that is very focused on strategy and, real-time, turn-based RPG games or whatever it is that they make there. And this already has a better reception just looking at the game overall for its own core audience compared to, say, Gotham Knights. And Gotham Knights, yes, as much as the developers had the intent to make a very solid and new product, I think whoever their bosses were that put them on this task to make this co-op game or superhero game with these elements probably was not thinking ahead. They were probably thinking, yeah, we're probably going to be able to farm and monetize. But look at the game. The game doesn't seem to have any monetization. But then you ask yourself, but why even bother spending all of this time putting these elements when the game could have had some other aspects dug in deep in terms of how the game was developed and so on and so forth. Because obviously right now the game is getting more stabilization patches that have made the game actually much better in its performance. Could those resources not have been spent earlier in the development rather than being used, at the time of the development to make all these other elements that were added to it that seemed like they were tacked on to the game, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, I think these two lessons are very valuable. If you have any ideas or any lessons that they could have learned in the comment section, those of you who've already played the game, those of you who've already basically, beaten it, assessed it, or still playing the game, I'd like for you guys to share in the comment section. I think they did a lot right here. It just did not appeal to the audience, even if the audience knew exactly what they were getting. For some reason, I think they were just in a different mind space. And that's one thing about gamers. Gamers will throw anything that they can sometimes at a video game that doesn't appeal to them. Like the 30 FPS fiasco. And I've already made my mind up and clear about that I don't take anybody seriously if you are listening and you say, oh, I have a problem with the game at 30 FPS and stuff. Well, you also make sure that you have a problem with the Plague Tale Requiem and Bayonetta as well. And make sure you also have a problem with God of War on PlayStation 4, because that's also going to be playing at 30 FPS. So I don't think that was necessarily a really big set of qualms, but I think a lot of people used it as an excuse to just say, I don't like this game anyway, so why would I even bother paying any mind to it? Because again, some others were like, it runs at 30 FPS and blah, blah, blah. So ideally, I think we're going to see more games go to 30 FPS. I know a lot of people are saying that these consoles are so powerful, but don't worry, the surprise is going to be there for a lot of people. And this is why I always encourage a lot of our, audience members to start considering their PC. Don't buy a PS4 Pro. Don't buy the next Xbox Series iteration. Spend your money on a computer. You're going to get a better value overall. Tell your friends, too, that you're going, because you're probably going to be like, but all my friends. Tell them, I'm going to PC, so y'all better start getting ready. We're all going. And if they don't want to come along, it's okay. You make new friends. All right, I got to get out. I get into trouble. Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.